Welcome to the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly Potpourri edition. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor, along with Rick Broering. As always, it's presented by Blake, the attorney Maisel. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got a new quarterback in town, Rick, but that's not all the only stuff. We got some maybe some sports talk radio to talk about. We've got some college football to talk about with the UC Bearcats suddenly on fire. Our gambling segment, which I don't even know how I did last week. I probably don't even want to know because I know on the sheet that I do, I was horrible.
You were 500.
Okay, all right, I'll take 500 because on my sheet I was less than 500, so that'll do. And my favorite part of the podcast, if you got questions, hit up the hashtag AskSkinnyAnything on Twitter, and I will answer any question you have so desire. It does not have to be sports related. Rick, we got a lot to get to. Let's get to it.
Yeah, Skinny, obviously the big news is Joe Flacco. Bengals traded a 5th-round pick to the Browns for Flacco and a 6th-round pick, and they plan to start him immediately. He's going to get the start against the Packers this Sunday afternoon, so Skinny, let me go back to like September 1st here. Imagine I had told you on September 1st that Dylan Gabriel would be the starting quarterback for the Browns. You probably would have said, okay, that's reasonable enough. And Joe Flacco would be starting for the Bengals by week 6. What would you have said at that point?
I probably would have shut the podcast off at that point and go, you're an idiot.
We're done with this. We're not doing this anymore.
Exactly. You talk about desperate times and desperate measures. That's literally what this move is. I mean, to sign a guy or get a guy on a Tuesday, not sign a guy, but trade for the guy, get a guy on Tuesday and cram him full of stuff to try to get him ready to start a game on Sunday. That's like when the Rams a couple of years ago were they were out of quarterbacks. They had everybody hurt and they went and got Baker Mayfield off the street, remember? And had to get him ready in a week. And he balled out to his credit. But I don't think people realize how hard this is and how desperate of a move this is.
I do love the idea of like, okay, yes, he doesn't know anything we're doing, but he already game planned for the Packers a few weeks ago. So like at least I think that part of it is hilarious, like actually hilarious.
I do think that helps some.
Yeah, it has to help some, but it is funny too.
Yeah, I mean, he instead of, cram coursing what he has to learn from the Bengals and then looking at what the Packers do, it's really just a refresher now because he's seen what the Packers do up close and personal.
All right. Do you like the trade? I mean, do you think it was a good move for the Bengals?
I think they had to do something. I'll go there with it. They had to do something. I mean, the fan base. I've never heard this early in a season so many boos, and I get it. I mean, I get it entirely. I think the locker room was starting to lose some juice, and Jake was so in his head. I mean, I don't know if you saw some of his Sunday post-game press conference. I mean, he was a mess. And so even if you said to yourself, boy, that fourth quarter gives me some hope that Jake's going to be the Jake we thought he would be, he was so in his head that you had to do something. And truthfully, Mike White was not going to be the answer. Brett Rippon was not going to be the answer. Sean Clifford's not the answer. And the answer is not Jake Browning. So the answer has to come from somewhere. And I think this was probably the best of the moves they could make. And that'll allow me to quickly touch on some of the other guys that people were pining for. Kirk Cousins, he would make a little bit of sense if you could get the money to work. I think you are going to need a backup next year, right? And I think this proves that you need a capable backup. I still think Jake can play in this league. It's just not right now, and he's got to get it out of his head, and that's not going to happen in a week's time. I don't think we've seen the end of Jake Browning this year, to be honest with you. I mean, I can't imagine Joe Flacco gets through the rest of these games unscathed. Or even performs to a point where you're like, well, got to pull him. So I think Jake will get another opportunity at some point. But the Kirk Cousins one was the most interesting to me. I just don't think they were ever going to be able to make the finances work.
Yeah, so that was a non-starter financially.
Correct. So that really brings us then to the two guys in New York who are sitting on the bench, right? Jameis Winston, the number 3, and Russell Wilson, the number 2 to Jackson Dart. Did you like what you saw from the Jake Browning throw 3 touchdowns, throw 3 interceptions? Did you like that?
No, not particularly.
What's Jameis really noted for? Games like that, right?
Yeah, throwing a lot of interception, being a wild card. Correct. Big games, big numbers, but lots of interceptions.
I'll further shit. Seattle decided they didn't want him anymore, so they trade him to Denver. Denver decides it doesn't want him to the point where they ate $85 million in dead cap space. That's how much they did not want Russell Wilson on their roster anymore. Then in Pittsburgh, he had okay success, but towards the end, you could just see there was nothing left. There was no juice left for him, and they fizzled in the playoffs. And after that 1 year in Pittsburgh went, yeah, thanks, we're good with you. And so he goes to New York, and after 3 starts, they go, nah, we're good. Is that the guy you want? And a guy who brings with him a little bit of a diva-ishness to him? Do you really – is that what you really wanted?
No, but Skinny, here's the only thing I don't understand where you're coming from on this. Like, we already admitted they're in desperate times. They went out and got Joe Flacco. That was the guy that they ended up with. So it's not like we're talking about the Bengals have good options. They are in desperation mode.
Yeah, there were no good options.
You don't think Jameis Winston is a more dynamic athlete, a thrower of the football, has more in the tank left than Joe Flacco?
I don't know about thrower of the football. I think Joe's still got plenty of juice throwing the football. It's just a matter.
I don't know about that.
Joe just doesn't move. No, I think he does. I mean, I think they believe he does.
I mean, he has a strong arm overall, but man, we've seen some throws this year that, I don't think he's the same Joe Flacco that he used to be.
Right. We don't know all the things that go on behind the scenes and why his guys get buried on depth charts. I mean, Jameis, nobody wants him as a backup in this league. He's number 3 in New York. Nobody else wanted him. Remember, he signed up there fully knowing that's probably what he was going to be because Russell had already signed. They had talked about they were going to draft a quarterback. So he goes there fully knowing he's a number 3. Nobody wanted him as a number 2. There's got to be reasons for that. There just has to be.
Yeah, and I think that's more what I'd like to hear is like, yeah, the Bengals realize Jameis Winston exists, but they for whatever reason, whether it's makeup, attitude, they don't feel like he can lead the locker room the way, they feel like it'll become even more chaos or of a sideshow in there. That's all fine. I'm willing to listen to that. But this idea that we're going to act like Jameis Winston isn't talented enough for this situation is like, well, I mean, you're getting Joe Flacco. So I would have liked to hear that you at least looked into Jameis Winston and decided we didn't want him for whatever reason. The way it's been said is like, people are talking like the Giants never got a call for either one of those guys. And if the Bengals weren't interested, that's fine. But like, I'd like to know why.
I think for the reasons I just laid out.
But your idea is like those guys aren't great quarterbacks in the NFL. Well, no kidding. No one that the Bengals were going to get in this situation was a great quarterback in the NFL. But I think the argument could be made they're as good or better than Joe Flacco.
Well, Zach Taylor brought this up numerous times yesterday. And I don't think Zach Taylor's overly thrilled with having Joe Flacco because I think he made the point yesterday.
I wanted to ask you about that because Zach did not seem happy about this.
No.
What do you think he wanted? Do you think he wanted to keep rolling with Jake?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, he said after the game, I've got unwavering faith in Jake. He went from unwavering faith in Jake after the game to on Tuesday getting a new quarterback and even saying, when did you find out? When Duke told me we made the trade, that's when I found out. And he said he did ask me my opinion of Joe. He didn't say what his opinion was, right? He just said he did ask my opinion of Joe.
Yeah, it feels
I don't think it's a favorable opinion. I really don't.
Do you feel like we're getting our first public signs of a fracture there? Or a little bit of separation between Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin?
A little bit, yeah. Like, it was almost like, hey, we have to do something, anything. This is the best of the options we can get is Joe Flacco. And the coach, listen, he said all the right things yesterday, right? And some of it I agree. I think he believes. Some of it I don't think he believes. Like, Joe's a smart guy. He's going to pick things up quickly. He's a pro. I mean, all the things, he says he still can throw. And that's still a big, important part of being a quarterback. And that he fit their system. And maybe that's the other part to it. Maybe Russell Wilson's such a wacky wild card, he just doesn't fit the system. I don't know what system he fits anymore because he hadn't fit a system in 5 years. And Jameis, again, too erratic with the football. And I just don't think they had any interest in either one of those guys.
Yeah, the Jameis, the Russell Wilson one, I understand more. The Jameis one, to me, it just, there's downside to it. It could be a disaster, but you're already a disaster. And the thing we've seen at different times is Jameis has had upside. He has had moments, and it's like, this would arguably be the best group of skill players Jameis has ever played with.
It's the best group that Joe Flacco's ever played with.
And that's fair. But like, I think we've seen a few times when Jameis has had some dudes around him, they've had some big numbers. He's put up some things. So that's the only thing. It's not a big deal to me. It's not like I think, if Jameis Winston was here, the Bengals would be in a great spot, and it's so much better than where they're at now. I am curious to why he didn't seem like an option, and all of a sudden Joe Flacco was. That doesn't really make sense to me.
I think because Joe Flacco you can bring on a Tuesday and start on a Sunday, and maybe you didn't think you could do that with Jameis, and then you were back to, well, we're going to bring a guy in. And we're going to have to start Jake, and then you're in you may lose all of it if Jake has another game like he had.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you think Joe Flacco gives them a better chance to win this week?
No. Quarterback play, and I still don't know if this defense is good enough to beat a good team. Now, the one thing I will say is this was a game I think before the year started. I think I even put this in the likely loss category when I did the likely wins, likely losses swing games. I'm almost 100% sure. So, I mean, you could go up there and play a pretty good game and lose. to me, the stretch of games is going to decide whether or not you're still in this or not, are the 3 games after Jets and the Bears. I mean, two winnable games and arguably 3 winnable games because one's on a short week at home.
Were you surprised that they named him the starter right away for this week?
Yes and no. Well, no, I'm not, because whoever was going to take the first snaps on Wednesday in practice was going to be the starter. And Zach said that on Monday, whoever that guy was going to be, because you only have really 2 days of getting full reps in, then Friday's a walkthrough. So you need to get those reps in, whoever was going to start. So the fact that they got him on Tuesday, they had already made up their mind. In fact, I think Zach said it was a second sentence to him as you're starting on Sunday. So I think once they made that trade, that he was definitively going to be the starter. You couldn't all of a sudden go to practice and go, all right, let's see what this guy's got. Now, I did ask Dan Pitcher on Monday because I was thinking at the time that it was like Mike White and Sean Clifford and Brett Rippon, one of those guys. And I said, Pitch, what if Wednesday's practice is an utter disaster? Can you go back to Jake? And he goes, well, I appreciate you painting that rosy picture for me. I said, well, I mean, what if? He goes, yeah, I'm not going to answer that. I'm like, okay, I get it. It probably wasn't a very good question, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, you name a Mike White, for example, and Mike goes out on Wednesday's practice and he just is a mess. What would you have done at that point?
Yeah, no, that's a legitimate question, but also I agree with him. Like, that's a terrible idea to answer, because as soon as you do that, that's clipped everywhere and split up in different ways, and it's the headline of multiple blogs and stuff. So, I mean, he made the right call there. But yeah, I'd like to know what, especially if it wasn't Flacco. Like, after you went out and got Flacco, it's like, okay, you're going to stick with him. He's a veteran, whatever. But like, if it was a Mike White situation, then is there more question about, are you actually going to Mike White, or are you potentially going back to Jake Browning? So you said,
I don't know if you can see this. Hang on, Ben Baby made a meme of this in a chat group among the beat writers. I thought it was pretty good, actually. Probably can't see it.
Go a little higher.
There we go. There we go. There's my question.
Yeah, I can't really read. I can see the pictures, but it's hard to read.
Yeah. And Pitch's reaction to it. I appreciate he painted that rosy picture. That really left a lot to be interpreted, is what he said.
Well, hold on. While we're on the topic of your social media, what about you going viral yesterday for tweeting that Joe Burrow was back at practice? What was that like next 20 minutes like for you?
It was kind of funny. I mean, as soon as I walked into practice, Emily Parker, she goes, well, you're bringing Joe Burrow back from the dead awful quick, aren't you? And I go, what? I went, oh, no. And at that point, so then another Kyle Williams, who's another media guy I like a lot, Kyle said, are you deleting that? I go, no, I just made fun of myself and said, good God, muscle memory. Because I was walking into practice talking to somebody as I'm typing that out to send it. And you know how your mind goes, right? You're talking to somebody and you just automatically type. And so I just said, at that point, there's nothing wrong with making fun of yourself when you do something stupid. That was stupid.
When I used to cover all the high schools, and I was trying to do like score updates. So I'd be live at a game, but I'd also be, because I'd be running like our whole website, I'd be trying to tweet score updates from all these other games too. Eventually you just screw it up, right? Like you tweet one of the names of the teams that you're at versus one of the teams that was at another location that you were trying to type in there as you're finishing up quickly. And it's exactly what you did. Muscle memory, type the wrong thing. People get so worked up about that.
Oh, I didn't even look at my reactions. I kept getting notifications of it. I mean, I think the best thing you can do in that case is don't delete it. Just make fun of yourself. I mean, listen.
Oh, sure.
I literally admitted it was muscle memory. I messed it up. I'm not going to run from that. It's a tweet, for goodness sakes. I didn't just kill somebody.
Right. I mean, it's like clearly Joe Flacco in the picture. I mean, it was like one of those no big deal things, but there are, you've got 500 retweets on it. People are losing their minds over it. So I thought that was
I hope they saw me poke fun of myself. I mean, that's the only thing you can do in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I love like people are acting like you're in trouble at work over it. It's like it's a errant tweet. It was a typo. What are we talking about? You mentioned that you think Joe Flacco gives them a better chance to win, or doesn't necessarily give them a better chance to win this week. What about the long term? Does he give them an actual chance to quote unquote stay in the hunt?
I'm going to have to see a couple of games of evidence. I mean, I was up in Cleveland for the opener, and I thought Joe actually played a good game. You can look at the raw numbers. He throws 2 picks, but literally both those picks were off wide receivers' hands for almost 300 yards. He made some good throws, made some plays. But if you look at like the body of work of the last couple of years, because he had a good 22. Remember, he led the Browns to the playoffs in 2023 when they signed him off the couch. And in Indy last year, he had some good moments too. And then his wide receivers got hurt. So I am interested to see with the weapons if he can generate enough offense to get him wins. I think the problem is you're going to have to score a bunch of points probably to win games. Is he capable of doing that? I think he's capable of not messing up and capable of making some plays. I just have to see a body of work. I can't even say definitively one way or the other. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he finds the fountain of youth because he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw to.
I lean no on that question simply because I'm to the point now that I'm not convinced the Bengals were staying in. I mean, in the AFC North, the way it's breaking, maybe they would have been fine, but I'm not convinced the Bengals were in a good spot even if Joe Burrow was healthy the way they've looked.
That's what Rick. I mean, I honestly think this was kind of a talking point that this was when Burrow was healthy, that you could be 2-4. And guess what they're going to be probably?
2-4.
Right. I think they could have lost to Minnesota and Denver and Detroit, even if Joe Burrow was healthy and Joe Burrow played well.
What about the AFC North picture, though, right now? I mean, does that change? 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, all right, the Bengals are completely done. But the longer this AFC North looks like a disaster, do you think maybe there's the chance they have the right year to have all this chaos going on?
No, absolutely. I mean, right now, Pittsburgh's 3-1 because they're coming off a bye. Bengals are 2-3, so you're a game and a half behind. Guess who you still play twice? I mean, you control your destiny with them, right? You still play them twice. You still play Baltimore, which is a mess, twice. Now, by the time you play Baltimore, they might not be a mess, but they're a mess right now. So, yeah, and the fact in the AFC, if the playoffs started today, Bengals are the first team out of the playoffs at the moment. It was made to say, we still are trying. We're trying. We're not punting on this season. And I commend them for that. I just don't know if Joe Flacco has enough to do it. And I think the one thing is it's going to be interesting to find out. And I'm all for interesting because, no offense, literally after that game last week, there's a bunch of us driving to Milwaukee, staying just north of Milwaukee, and then driving to Green Bay the day of the game because we couldn't find flights that worked for any of us. So we all decided just to rent a car and drive. We literally turned to each other in the press box and said, I don't know if I'm going to Milwaukee. And so all of a sudden this trade is made and we're like, back in. We already made a hotel. We're back in. I mean, I'm not going to miss this now.
Yeah, everybody's in on the Milwaukee trip all of a sudden. So who is in that car and as of now?
It would be Paul Dehner Jr., Jay Morrison, James Rapine, and myself.
Oh, wow. Little left, center, right action?
And I believe a coworker of James and Jay's. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I think there's 5 of us. So we've got like a 3-tiered whatever it is.
All right, so you're going left, right, center, or no?
Oh, absolutely. It might be the most epic game. There may be hundreds of dollars changing hands on this trip. Oh,
there we go. All right. What's the injury situation like for the Bengals on Sunday, aside from Joe Burrow?
Yeah. What do you mean aside from Joe Burrow? Not playing, you mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, there it seemed like there were some issues coming out of last week's game. Like, how is T. Higgins? Like, what's going on with some of those updates? Is there any big concerns there?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Zach talked yesterday that he's going to load manage both T and Jamar this week because they play the game next week. Jamar actually was limited in practice yesterday just on rest, so that means he went through individual drills. Didn't go through the full practice, but he's healthy. And Zach actually said both of them they're healthy. They're just going to get load managed. I think the most interesting and I guess concerning one would be Dylan Fairchild not practicing. And I saw him limping around in the locker room on Sunday. I don't know when he got hurt. Actually, I saw him limping on Monday. I don't know when he got hurt because he played all but one snap in that Lions game. Now you're back to plugging in Dalton Reisner, who wasn't very good, or Lucas Patrick, because Lucas Patrick may come back. I think that would be the one for me that if Patrick comes back, he gets plugged in probably at left guard, and you keep Jalen Rivers at right guard. But the guard situation has just been a mess.
Yeah, and that's not changing regardless of who's healthy. So
correct.
All right. Any other thoughts on Bengals, Packers? Anything related to that?
No. I come out of this game even at 2-4 going, it's not the end of the world. Look me up at the bye week, and then I can give you, I think, a definitive place of where this season is going. Because then again, you have 3 very winnable home games. Win those. If you're 5-4 at the bye, I go back.
All right, let's move on to college football. Skinny, the big story here is Cincinnati. They have really shown up all of a sudden the last few weeks. This was a huge win, 38-30 over Iowa State. Is this UC team actually good? Not just like scraping by, but like, are they a contender in the Big 12 and a nationally ranked type of team good?
Yeah, I think they have some defensive flaws, but I mean, the offense is clicking.
This was great the last few weeks.
This was not the offense we saw against Nebraska, and maybe that's more kudos to Nebraska. I think Nebraska is probably the best team they've played, although I like Iowa State a lot. I think Iowa State's good. That's a great win. The Kansas win on the road's a really good win. But they found their offensive stride. Like right now, they ran the ball so well in the first half. Iowa State sold out against the run in the second half, and for the most part, that got Iowa State back in the game. But then UC hits a big play over the top because Iowa State's selling out to stop the run. So now you got both facets working for you.
Yeah, Evan Pryor had 10 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns to get the running game going. But the thing that was impressed me the most, Skinny, is you said UC hit the big play over the top. Well, it wasn't just one. They had to keep hitting big plays because the refs kept throwing flags on. I mean, that was the most impressive part of this, is that it felt like whether you thought they were legitimate calls or UC was getting screwed, they had to overcome multiple soul-crushing penalties in the fourth quarter of that game to come away with the win, and they did it. They kept doing it again and making the play they needed.
And there's something to that because, I mean, they're a couple of plays away from losing the Kansas game, right? The final drive is how they won. You're probably a couple plays away from losing the Iowa State game, but you know what you didn't do? You didn't lose either. You won them both. You found the ways to win them both, and I think that carries over.
Yeah. How bad do you, like, this is obvious when you let a game get away from you, but looking back at that Nebraska game now, it just doesn't feel like they're even the same team.
No,
and that was a close game that they could have won. It's like, how bad do you want that one back right now?
I know. No question about it. But I don't think they do this because I still think they still got to play Utah on the road. They still got to play TCU on the road. But Utah's already lost a game in conference. TCU, I believe, has lost a game in conference. So, you could be in the mix to be in the conference championship and maybe get a spot in the college football playoff. There's certainly hope for it now.
Yeah. You got to give a ton of credit to this coaching staff. They've called 2 pretty damn good games on offense in back-to-back weeks. And let's face it, these are huge moments for their cares right now from the coaching staff's perspective.
No doubt. And again, I still will be critical of Scott Satterfield until he proves me otherwise. But to his credit, he knew how much pressure was on him this season. He knew it. And you know what? It doesn't sound like he wavered from whatever process he did to get teams ready. And I guess good for him. I trust the process.
Here's my question now, because we were talking about after last basketball season and into the offseason, you get in a situation where you're UC if Wes Miller isn't the guy and you feel like you need to fire him after this year when the buyout becomes more affordable at a certain point, and you feel like Scott Satterfield isn't the guy and you had another bad year in football and he turns out to not, you got to fire him and you have a buyout for him. And then if that's the case, do you want your athletic director hiring new coaches for those sports after he's failed multiple times with both of them? All of a sudden, I was just thinking about this. UC football having a turnaround now. If they continue this and have a good season, you say, okay, we're sticking with Scott Satterfield for the time being. And guess what? John Cunningham's already done on the basketball side. He's already hired a GM who they've decided is basically going to be probably in control or have a lot of influence over that next college basketball hire if you have to make one after Wes Miller. John Cunningham might have just done a hell of a job of self-preservation over the course of the last 6 to 12 months.
You might be right.
And he has a lot of
that. Trying to fire 2 is really hard. Yeah, trying to fire 2 at the same time is really hard.
Yeah, especially when you probably need to be fired and have a big buyout. So, interesting how all of that might have turned around quickly here if Scott Satterfield continues this run. All right, Georgia 35, Kentucky 14. It wasn't a complete blowout early. Kentucky kind of hung around for a little while, but they never really had a chance either. They just couldn't get off the field on third down, Skinny.
Yeah, and the end of the first half, offensively, the debacle that was that, again, the time management, the way it went down, and then the kid shanks a field goal, hasn't missed a field goal all year. That's Kentucky football in a nutshell. It really is. But we have to talk about it. They got to come up with $38 million if this guy goes 3-9. I mean, I can only imagine, Rick, that Tennessee Tech game is the last bye game that they have, and that's towards the end of the year. It's either the second to last game or third to last game. I can't remember which. I think it's the third to last game. Anyway,
that crowd's going to be good.
Oh, I know. And that's going to be your sign of things to come. And you better understand that. And so They do have a stretch of games that I didn't think were winnable before the season started, but Texas looks awful. I don't think Florida did just come up with a win over Texas, but they haven't been great this year. Vandy's a good team, but you still should be on par with the Vandy. I mean, you still have some games you can win. I'm not saying should win, but you need to win something, man, other than Tennessee Tech.
I don't know if I see it for this. Georgia ran for 180 yards. Kentucky ran for 45.
Right. I know. Yeah, no, I'm that's the thing though. But the elephant in the room is that buyout is just so grotesque that how do you swallow that?
I don't know that you can. And Stoops has already said that he's not going to be taking a pot or walking away or whatever. I mean, they're going to have to fire him, it sounds like.
Yeah, there's a part of me that says to hell with you on that. But at the same time, you know what? They negotiated that contract too, bro. Take your money and run.
And look, he took on a difficult job and did pretty well with it for a extended period of time. He earned what he earned. They decided to pay it to him, so I don't begrudge him that at all. But I don't know that I ever would have given him the contract that they gave him, even when they decided to do it and people were high on Mark Stoops and they felt good about it. It always felt like, man, this guy is still like bottom half of the SEC at best as a coach.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would. I think Mitch Barnhart's a good athletic director overall, but I'm not sure I let that guy negotiate another contract for one of the two major sports. And I can't imagine that the board of trustees would say, yeah, you know what? Give another coach a big contract. We'll sign off on that, even though we just paid off this guy $30 some odd million. There's no way.
Well, he's not going to have to worry. It's going to be like a private equity firm here in another year or two, right?
True. Yeah, true. That's right.
Yeah. Ohio State 42, Minnesota 3. The Buckeyes were dominant at home. And we talked about the offense last week, how we haven't really seen much from them yet. They opened up the playbook a little bit more in this one. At least it felt like Julian Sain had some big time throws. He was 23 of 27 for 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Buckeyes totaled 474 yards in the win.
Their defense, I got to go back. What is it? Still just 1 touchdown they've given up this year or 2? Hang on,
1, I believe.
2. They gave up 1 to Ohio and 1 to Texas. 2 touchdowns in 5 games. I won't count the Grambling. So 2 touchdowns basically in 4 games against what was the number 1 ranked team in the country at the time. We've seen that they're not the number 1 ranked team in the country. And then 3 Big Ten opponents. That's unbelievable.
It really is. I mean, the defense is just absurd. And when you see what we've been questioning, like, okay, is the offense lagging behind? Do they need more time? Or is it just a situation where you haven't needed to take any risks or try to do anything offensively? So you're just holding back and being conservative right now. And Skinny, I know it's just Minnesota, but based on what we saw this past week, it feels an awful lot like they're just being conservative because Julian Sain can throw the ball. He's not making mistakes. The receivers are ridiculous. Carnell Tate had 9 catches for 183 yards and a touchdown, and Jeremiah Smith caught a couple of touchdowns in the game. So they have the weapons. They've got the running game now with Bo Jackson getting on track. I mean, it's got to be fun for Ohio State fans to sit there in a week where people are talking about like, oh, they have legitimate competition, and you cruise to a 42-3 win while there's chaos going around the rest of the country in the college football world.
Julian Sain has completed 101 of 126 passes, 80%. I don't care if you're throwing nothing but checkdowns. It's impossible to complete 80% of your passes. And that was the guy they're being conservative with.
Right. And he looks like anybody in Northern Kentucky's little brother.
Right.
I mean, he's like just a skinny, normal-looking high school quarterback kid. He's not some freak, but man, he throws a good ball. I mean, he's got an impressive arm, and like you said, he's very accurate. So
I mean, honestly, at this point right now, they're like number 1 up here, and then there's a gap to even the next group that you're going to talk about.
Yes, that's what I was just going to ask you, Skinny. I mean, that's the way I'm feeling right now, is that they are not just a contender to go back-to-back and repeat. To me, it feels like they're clearly the odds-on favorite at this point.
They're almost, from a defensive side of things, like LSU was on offense in Burrow's last season. I mean, like,
it's so dominant.
Yeah, like, they're not giving up more than 10 points. And probably less than that. You knew Joe Burrow was putting up 40 before you even blinked an eye and thought about, could they put up 60 today?
Yeah, it's just really impressive. And I was trying to pull up the odds real quick. I don't know what they are, the current future odds for Ohio State to repeat as national champs, but I mean, they should be clearly the odds-on favorite, the heavy favorites, in my opinion, right now.
I would agree with you. Let me see if I can.
I mean, who else do you even put in that group right now?
Nobody. There's nobody.
That's really good. Consistent.
Yeah, no. I mean, the best team in the SEC is who? Maybe Alabama at this moment because they are playing good, but I don't think. I think on a neutral field, Ohio State's a 8 to 10 point favorite.
Ohio State is plus 440 to win the national championship. Oregon is right behind them at plus 500.
Yeah, I've got my ESPN when Ohio State at 4.25 to 1 and Oregon at 5.5 to 1. Then Alabama 7 to 1, Miami 8 to 1, Georgia 9 to 1, Oklahoma 18 to 1. Oklahoma, Texas, and Ole Miss they have the sixth best odds to win it. And I don't think any of those even are close to a legitimate national championship team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're not, you're not even talking about them in the same conversation with Ohio State right now.
Right.
It's got fun time to be a Buckeye fan, I guess. All right, let's get into our pick'em segment, unless you had anything from a national perspective there.
Nope, you're good.
All right, you were 4-4 last week, bringing you to 17-19 overall. I was 5-3, so I'm 20-16 now. An interesting note in that Kentucky game, did you know Georgia covered by half a point and the total went over by half a point?
Yeah, and it depends on when you got the market because it was weird. It was wild on Saturday morning. So when I got up Saturday morning, it was down to 18.5. I didn't touch it either way. It got up to 20.5. I actually bought it up to 21.5. So I was able to maneuver the line myself and pay a little more juice for that. I don't think anybody would let a 20.5 hanging if you're getting it. I think if you're giving it, you do that. So it seems like somebody bet it down and then bet it back up. So that was pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, what lines, though, by Vegas on that? Half a point on each side of the line we were using on Thursday when we recorded this podcast. My bet of the week failed in spectacular fashion as Penn State not only didn't cover against UCLA, they flat out lost to UCLA. Their season is over. Franklin's career is over, at least at Penn State. Brutal bet of the week for me. Colts were the only leg of your teaser that hit. So we are both looking to get back on track this week.
It was a wildly bad week for me on my pick'em sheet that I do with some friends of mine. It was awful.
Not great. All right, Kentucky football is off this week, so we won't have them. We got a couple of new games.
It's kind of wild to have two buys in like a 4-week span,
isn't it? Yeah, that's why I forgot that they had this, and when I was looking for them this week, I was like, "Oh, that's right. That is so strange to think that they're off again." All right, Saturday at noon. Both of these games are at noon. The local ones. We've got Ohio State at Illinois. Buckeyes are a 14.5 point favorite on the road. The total is 49.5. I
think Illinois is a different team at home. I think the Indiana game was kind of a fluke from a score standpoint, not from who won it standpoint. I think Illinois is legit. I'm going to say they hang around here. I'm getting suckered in by the hook there. I'll go Ohio State 27-13. 2 field goals, and they give up their third touchdown of the year.
All right, so that is Illinois and the under here.
Correct.
I just don't see it. I actually think Illinois is a bit of a fraud, especially after what we saw in the Indiana game. I know it was on the road, but I'm going Ohio State 35, Illinois 7, OSU, and the under for me. Saturday at noon, we've got UCF at Cincinnati. The Bearcats are a 10.5 point favorite. They've only not covered once. They're 4-1 against the spread. That was the Bowling Green game that they didn't cover. They're 10.5 point favorites, and the total is 53.5.
Yeah, I mean, UCF has wins over Jacksonville State, North Carolina A&T, and god-awful North Carolina. They lost at Kansas State by 2 touchdowns and at home to Kansas by a touchdown. I think UC wins this game comfortably. I think UCF will score just enough. I'll go UC 34, UCF 24. So UCF gets the cover.
And that goes over.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. We were right along the same line of thinking here. I had UC 31, UCF 24. So okay. UCF and the over for me as well. But I mean, I expect Cincinnati to win this game. It's just that I know they've been covering, but the defense concerns me a little bit to get 10.5.
Yeah, me too. That's why it could even be a backdoor cover.
Yeah, exactly. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Sunday at 4:25, we have Bengals at Packers. Packers are a 14.5 point favorite. The total is 44.5.
All right, so this feels like Vegas is trying to reel you in with the hook, right? And I'm biting on it. That's just so much in the NFL, man. 14 and a hook is usually like an expansion team or a team that's in total rebuild mode playing a really good team.
Yeah,
And
the
I think
Bengals.
Green Bay is really good. I still can't explain. Well, maybe I can explain them giving up 40 points. I think it's a really good defense. They gave up 40 to the Cowboys on that crazy Sunday night game that ended in a tie. But I do think they are good defensively. I'll go Green Bay. I'm going to do it barely by the hook. Green Bay 30, Bengals 17.
All right. So Bengals and the under or the over here.
Yes.
I'm with you on the over, but I'm not picking this Bengals team to cover anything. I'm going Packers 35, Bengals 13. So Packers and the over for me.
Yeah, and we talked to Al Golden yesterday, and he said, we're making pretty good progress. We're not where we want to be, obviously. They've had some good moments of like getting 2 or 3 stops in a row, right? I mean, they had some really good moments in that Lions game. And then if they somehow crawl back into it at 28-17, and you're like, there's still 10 minutes to go, you get a 3 and out here, go back down and get any kind of a score. It's a 1-score game. And what does Detroit do? 7 plays, 78 yards, or whatever the hell it was, right down the field, doing anything they want, run, pass, screen, cross, whatever they wanted to do. And you're like, this is why maybe they are getting better, and that is a great offense. I mean, they can do anything they want to do. They really can. But it's the consistency of it. Like, you got a couple of stops. You can help get the team back in the game. And then with kind of a chance with the game a little bit in the balance, you just get run right through.
Yep. That's who they are. I mean, that's why honestly, if Joe Burrow is healthy, I'm not sure how good this thing would be going right now.
Right.
Because that's who they are right now.
Well, no,
with or without him.
Joe Burrow played at an all-world level last year. Like, he played MVP caliber level, right?
Yeah.
He still only won 9 games.
And then they got worse going into this year. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter.
Yeah.
All right. We got our favorite bet of the week. This is a hard week for me. I did not see anything that I really liked on the board. I'm going to just go with Alabama minus 3.5.
I hate taking road teams. I was leaning towards taking a college game. Pitt getting 10.5 at Florida State, but I can't. I can't. Road teams bother me.
I know that's me with Alabama. It's like they're on the road at Missouri, who's ranked, but I just think Missouri's a bit of a fraud.
Yeah, and it's only a field goal you're laying there, and I think Alabama's kind of found its mojo a little bit. That's actually not a bad play.
I think Alabama's like 4-1 against the spread too.
Yeah, no, I think they've kind of found what they can do well and will do well, and I think that they're actually a really good team. I'm going to go back to the teaser in the NFL. It's done well for me most of the time. I'll go with 6.5 point teaser here. We'll take Indy down to a pick 'em against Arizona. Hopefully Arizona drops another ball short of the end zone. What a wild play that was. I'm going to take Jacksonville at home up to getting 5 against Seattle. I'm going to take the Steelers down. Well, they'll be getting a point, but essentially a pick 'em at home against Cleveland. And I'm going to take Detroit up to getting 9 at Kansas City.
All right, so that's Colts, pick 'em, Jags +5, Steelers +1, Lions +9 on Skinny's 4-leg teaser of the week. We'll see how that does. We need to get back on track. I was undefeated going into last week and then lost in spectacular fashion. You had cashed a couple weeks in a row too, I believe, and then and had a tough loss. So hopefully we'll get back on track here. Ask Skinny anything. Very, very relevant question right now that I'm sure you'll be into. On her new song wish list, Taylor Swift says Travis Kelce has her dreaming of a driveway with a basketball hoop. Is there any way Taylor has a jumper?
I'd say yes, believe it or not. I bet she shot some hoops in the day.
She's kind of tall and lanky. I feel like she was probably like a 5th grade power forward.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And then decided I have other talents and I'm going to use those other talents, and that'll be that.
Let me grab that guitar over there. We've established Skinny's springtime rules around summertime short pants. What's his fall wardrobe routine? What type of pants does he prefer as a daily driver? And what's he wearing around the house? What's his take on the disappearance of blue jeans among young males?
I was never a blue jean guy. I wore them at times. I just was never a blue jean guy. I don't know. I don't know why that was. I just wasn't for some reason. I was either slacks, sweatpants, or shorts.
This guy is right though. Have you noticed that? Like blue jeans within the last 5 years just completely disappeared.
I guess I haven't paid attention because I don't really wear them that often. I have one pair in my closet, and I can't tell you. I bet you I wear them twice a year at most. It
was funny. My buddy actually, both of us have had kids. We've gotten married. So we've been at different events over the last handful of years with each other. And we were looking at some old pictures from like those different things that were going back. And like in all of them, we were in jeans 5-6 years ago. And now like I haven't worn a pair of jeans in 2 years probably.
Yeah, so I had to do a TV segment this morning, and it was cool. I mean, I left the house at 8:00 and got caught in god awful traffic. By the way, can we stop wrecking on bridges, people? If we're going to wreck, let's just stop doing it on bridges. Don't change lanes on bridges. Just stop wrecking on bridges. Both the 471 bridge and Brent Spence were down today for periods. It was just
not
brutal.
great.
So right now, actually doing this podcast, and this is probably the outfit I'll wear for the rest of the day because I have to go out later on, is this pullover and, believe it or not, a pair of summertime short pants. It's that in-between temperature range where as long as you got something up top, you'll be just fine. If I was at Bengals practice today, and I'm not going today, and I was standing outside for the 30-minute period we're allowed to stand outside, I would be in this outfit and feel comfortable in it.
So quarter zip and summertime short pants?
Correct. If it's above 7, if it's 70 or above, then I'll go back to the golf shirt. But in that 55 to 70 degree range, it's probably this. You get me below 55, then I'm going to sweats. And I will say that's the one thing, Rick. Sweats actually, they're made so nicely today that you don't look like a back in the day, in my day when sweats were really ugly looking.
Baggy gray cotton.
Yeah, awful.
Yeah.
Those didn't look good. You just wore them out of necessity. Now, honestly, I think they look good. That's why I think maybe you're seeing jeans disappear. More and more guys are wearing good looking sweats.
Well, it's the golf pants thing, right? That I think has happened. You've got it's like a crossover between windsuit, dry fit, and sweats, sort of. They're like somewhere in between there. I think everyone just kind of wears that now.
Yeah,
it's a jogger or golf pant.
I mean, I wear it when in the wintertime. A lot of it's because I go to basketball practice right after I'm done with Bengals, but I'll wear that in a pullover and feel like, listen, I'm not exactly trying to be, Mr. Wear a tie or suit and tie guy, but I'm like, I don't think I look like a goof nut in these because they look good.
No, I actually think they look better than jeans. Like they're more fitted. Jeans honestly are not really a very good look for most people unless you have some style and know what you're doing with them.
Yeah, it is funny. I hardly ever wear jeans, if ever anymore.
Yeah. So, like on a normal work day, once it's chillier, what type of pants are you wearing? Some like Docker type deals, or what are you doing?
Well, no, I'm wearing sweats to go cover. I'm just covering an NFL team. I'm not exactly going to. Now, if I'm doing something TV related, sure, I'll wear like a pair of, I call it slacks for lack of a better term.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. I think that answered that question sufficiently. Hopefully they'll be happy with that. The last thing I wanted to get to, Skinny, is just something going on in town this week from a local radio perspective, which was Tony Pike announcing yesterday on Wednesday that his time at iHeart has come to an end. And, it's pretty an emotional post that he put out there saying, he hoped that the time never came. And I guess he essentially got caught up in iHeart nationwide cuts that are going on. And man, the outpouring of support and people that are frustrated and pissed off because they really loved listening to him. I mean, it was really all I saw on social media yesterday.
Listen, I did a show with Tony for a couple of years. We did a podcast, me and him and James Rapine, and enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, he's a funny guy. He knows his stuff. He likes the give and take. He likes the back and forth. He doesn't think he's the smartest guy in the room. When sometimes he is, and honestly, sometimes he wasn't. But he could make fun of himself. He could make fun of you. I think his show with Austin Elmore, I thought they played really well off one another. And it is a shame. As someone that was in the business and got riffed out of the business too, it punches you in the gut because you hear the whispers coming that cuts are coming, and you just kind of put your head down and go, boy, I hope it's not me. And eventually it is you. And it hit me, and it's awful. I mean, that was in the heart of my career. Like, now what am I going to do next? And I found out what I was going to do next. And that's the thing. I said this on Mo Egger's show yesterday. I said, for Tony, I feel so bad for him. It's awful. I'm disappointed. It was a good show. I don't understand the reasoning behind it because he was doing well. It seemed like from an advertising standpoint, he did so much for that station, all of those things, that it seems wholly unfair. But I am a full believer that if you treat people right, and I think Tony does, one door closes and a better door opens. I'm just a big believer in that. And I know in the moment it sucks. I mean, I can remember, honestly, part of it for me was when I got riffed, I'd been in the business, I think, like 12 years. And I do remember I came home. I actually played in a golf outing that day. Came home, hadn't told anybody. Came home, and I will say, there's a lot of pressure in doing that job. I don't think anybody understands that, about how on you have to be. I swear, Rick, I laid down in bed for a minute, didn't cry. I'm not a crier, mind you. And it felt like somebody had just pulled a string and taken every bit of pressure off my shoulders. It was like, okay, you're okay. I had another job because I've always worked pretty much 2 jobs. And I'm like, okay, I'll find something else. Let's just decompress from this for a little bit. And I did. I'm going to wind up in my career, in a probably the best place of all that I worked. So I think to me, that's what I would tell Tony. And I sent him a text yesterday just saying, man, I'm so sorry. It's so unfair. I can't even speak to that part of it. And he sent me a thanks back, which I wasn't expecting. I just want to let him know that I just think it's wholly awful. It's somebody in a corporate office in San Antonio, Texas, looking at a name going, yeah, him. Doesn't know anything. And I am surprised that perhaps some people there didn't fight for him, or maybe they are still fighting for him. It's possible. Maybe they are.
Yeah. I mean, when the thing that makes it so obvious that like content or what he was doing wasn't taken into account is the fact that look at what's going on in our city right now. Like the Bengals are struggling majorly. I know it's still a big storyline that's going to be talked about, but the Reds, it's dead season now. The biggest thing going on, the team that has the best chance to make fireworks and create a storyline right now is Cincinnati football. And Tony is the guy for Cincinnati football. It's like taking him off the air right now makes 0 sense for the station. It probably puts them in a major hole from a content perspective. Not to mention he's one of the more insightful Bengals guys on the show as well, because he's played the position. He has a little more X and O knowledge and actual football knowledge. But the thing that I'm most frustrated about is he and Austin actually tried something different. They actually went about making a different type of show. They weren't trying to be Mo. They weren't trying to be Lance. They weren't trying to be your standard sports talk. They were like, let's do something a little more lighthearted, a little more fun. We'll add the talkbacks. And they did their own version of a show, and it worked. It was good. It provided us something else to listen to leading into Mo, which also is a fantastic show. It just sucks to have that ripped away because so rarely do people, one, step out of the box and take that chance, and two, get the chance to actually see it through and succeed with it. It sucks that now that opportunity has been ripped away because I enjoyed listening to it and I was hoping it was going to spark more creativity and more styles of doing talk radio.
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's why that business makes no sense, because it's never anybody on the local level making that decision, right? That can either say this isn't working or is work. I mean, that's the part that I hate about corporate America right there in a nutshell, is somebody far removed from the situation with really no real knowledge of the situation can take that away. And, he was part of the Bengals pregame show, the kind of the pregame show from Holy Grail Banks on game days, did the show with Mo on Mondays. I mean, all those have sponsorship ties to it that probably tied back to Tony in some way. That's what I don't understand is how this happened to a guy that was having success, I think, both in bringing in revenue, ad dollars, and providing all the content he provided.
Do you know when he found out? Like, was it? I do not.
I know it happened on Tuesday.
Okay. So I'm thinking about this weekend. He ended up calling the UC football game as an analyst for Jim Kelly, and he did a fantastic job. I happened to listen to a decent amount of it because we were driving to a family thing and back. So I heard the beginning and the end of the game on radio. And I have to imagine I wasn't the only one who thought, man, he's crushing this, and probably sent him messages. He probably heard all types of great things about how good of a job he's doing as a broadcaster. And then on the other side of the weekend, you get this news. It's just like, what a cruel and sick business that everyone's in.
I think Scott Springer wrote this in the Inquirer. I mean, he gets canned on this past Tuesday, and in another couple of weeks, he's getting inducted to UC's Hall of Fame. I mean,
right. And by the way, he's still doing the UC broadcast.
Yes, he is. That part is accurate. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think he'll do the UC broadcast for long, because I truly think you're going to see him do an analysis on ESPN at some point, college football wise. I think he is that good.
Yeah, I definitely think they would be smart to go get him, because he does that better than a lot of the people that are already doing it. Now, that's always a tough game, and getting on the national level and getting those opportunities. Hopefully, the people that have the contacts can make that happen for him, because he definitely deserves it.
Well, Rick, I will say this. I mean, there's obviously no other radio outlet in town for him to latch on to, but in today's day and age where there's a lot of content created on YouTube, these podcasts, if you get a sales mechanism behind it, I think you can make it work. It's hard sometimes to get the sales mechanism behind it, but I think, and especially for somebody that has a following, who I think had pretty loyal endorsers, maybe he finds a way to go that route. when I was told that on Tuesday, I was absolutely floored. I'm like, there's no way that can't be accurate.
Yeah, I have no idea what, his family situation's like, what type of connections he has. Maybe he has someone he knows that's ready to hook him up with a great job outside of media, and he wants to do that. So I won't tell him what he should or shouldn't do, but I am curious, I think absolutely the way media is now and the type of support that we saw yesterday from all around the city, that if he were announced tomorrow that, okay, I'm now doing a daily YouTube stream or whatever, I think the support would be there almost instantly. I think he'd have a lot of followers, and I think there would be a few advertisers that would step up to support him.
I do too. He'll land on his feet. Like I said, the door closes, another one opens, and to me, it's always been a better door's opened. Sometimes that happens, and you don't think about it. All you can think about is the misery of losing a paycheck and losing a job you enjoy doing, and it really does hit you in the gut. But he'll survive it. I promise you.
Yeah. And I know, people will tell you it's not the same thing as a stable job and, the insurance and all that stuff that comes with it. But you can make the thing on your own work. If you decide to put yourself out there and take that chance, you can definitely make that work. And he's talented enough to really build something even much bigger if he decides to go that route. So I'm anxious to see what's next for him. I will be following. I really enjoyed Tony's content.
I agree with you. All right, Rick, thanks so much. Thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. Again, hit up the hashtag #AskSkinny on Twitter. For Rick Boring, I'm Richard Skinner. It's been the Skinny Podcast, the weekly Potpourri edition, presented by Blake, the Attorney Maislin.